Yeah.
I don't know. All right, we made it to performance engineering. We're speaking with Kyle, our builder. There's Vaughn right here. We just got done visiting Lane Automotive, bringing in a few needed parts for Kyle. We're looking at our 454R Victor intake, and we're also noticing for the first time we're really paying that much attention. Looks like it's been port matched the heads that were originally on our engine, so I think we'll have this cleaned up a bit. It's a little dirty, otherwise I think it's totally usable. And we're also discussing plans of whether to stay the Dominator route or go to the 4150 spread bore style. We did bring our rev kit in, but speaking with Kyle here, says the valve springs have improved drastically over the years, and this is really old school technology here, so we may not even need these anymore. So I'll actually take those back with us. I'll just drop on the floor. In the box, we got a brand new trip flow balancer. We showed you that back at Lane. That'll be going to the build. We got an SFI flex plate form now. Of course, timing cover, there's a timing pointer, and other items.
Something for the balancer, actually the SFI sticker.
Yes, we want to make sure we document all of that going into the build, so that way we get asked by tech, we can prove it. So go ahead and slide that back and open this box, and I'll show that SFI number on the flex plate, because once everything's bolted up, you're going to have to look up in there to see it. So there it is right there.
That's a nice piece.
So hopefully this will help out Kyle here at Performance Engineering and keep this project moving forward.
Cam doesn't necessarily.
I'll touch the solid roller part of it too.
Yeah, the solid roller. Yeah, that's all. The newer style technology, the maximum oil has all the additives in it for that. So this will be nice to have, especially with the stud and nut style valve train that we're going to be running.
Hold all the valves together.
Yeah, just kind of it keeps everything stable, so the studs aren't flexing. We're going to have that higher spring pressure to eliminate that rev kit, so this will help stabilize that.
Yeah, when you turn 8,000 R's there, you want everything to start bending inward.
No, we don't want that. The more stable that you can keep that valve train, the higher RPM you'll be able to turn.
Right. Now I've run a similar setup in the past on a small block,
Okay.
but we still had issues. I think it came to machine shop issues at the time.
Okay.
Because we would set it by the book. We even have racers come over and watch us do it. So you were doing everything right.
Okay.
We'd run twice and we'd lose lash.
Okay.
What's happening? I don't know.
Yeah, that's usually a sign of either the valve is sucking up into the cylinder head for some reason. You go and tighten up that lash. Or usually that's really the only way that you would lose lash that way. You would gain lash if the lifter was failing or if the push rod was failing or something like that. You would gain lash at that point. But
It was frustrating in that time. It was around there 1990, 1991.
Okay.
About the last time I was involved in this sort of thing.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I watch our fellow competitors make run after run, don't even touch it.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we doing wrong? It was just didn't make any sense to us.
That would be frustrating, for sure.
Vaughn, those headers you were talking about today, you know what the primaries were, so you can tell him what those were?
The one we were looking at.
It's right there in that paperwork, by the way. I did bring it in.
Super Comps engine 3/4 primaries.
Okay.
Yes, for the channel.
They fit YouTube channel. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully they'll actually fit in the truck when we're looking for it.
Yeah, 1.75" primary. That should be plenty big.
It should be plenty enough to go to into 7/8 all right. Cause yeah, you're getting an eighth of an inch, which isn't very much anyway.
I mean, it's,
Everything to float up, so.
yeah, to be honest though, I think the 1 3/4 primary would still, still cast iron GM head, you know, the exhaust port is only so big. I mean, if we were going to an aftermarket cylinder head that had a giant port on it, then we would want
See, it would be nice if I
to get all the air out of there.
had these already, had the gas thing, maybe a port both match, so it's
You could,
a nice smooth flow.
Yep. But these ones are gonna be pretty close to what the port is on the GM already.
Yeah.
But you guys have the rectangle port ones that are obviously been ported by this, Wolfies.
But the other thing too is hopefully, those are the correct, style too, cause the exhaust ports are different. Between those and the stock Big Block.
Okay.
heads. So
Yeah,
there's
this
a itty bitty little peanut, heads on those, we got a big, like a square port.
Yep. Port ones.
See, we're also limited to the chassis and the truck, which is factory cross member, factory style motor mounts.
Okay.
How small the frame is too.
Yeah,
Try to get them to fit.
So are these fender exit or are these actually coming right down?
inside the rail.
Inside the fender?
Yep.
Okay.
So we didn't have a whole lot of choice in doing that because they don't seem to offer a lot of choices for our setup.
Not for
Even though a Big Block did
C10.
come stock in this truck,
Yeah.
so, but they would have been obviously cast iron and everything else,
So
so.
the other problem is trying to find options that actually flow high enough to actually be able to race with it too. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah. You could always put cutouts in there. That'll flow enough.
Oh, yeah.
Electric cutouts.
What's the collector size on this muffler?
3 inch.
3 inch.
3-inch
Yep.
collector.
That's what my plan was anyway, to run cutouts.
Was it?
And the rest of the exhaust is just gonna be backward ways until it turns at the tip at the tires
Okay.
at the back. Or a small muffler on those.
Sure.
Maybe throw a set of spin packs on there. So if I'm happy with those on the box body, those are really nice.
Some little race mufflers type
Yeah,
deal.
they're spin packs. I've seen those.
I had not.
They're as close as you can get to having an actual muffler on a race car.
Okay.
We'll still be able to flow like crazy.
Nice.
They will actually sit there and actually spin right around it.
Okay.
Kind of what NASCAR does too.
Gotcha.
So,
Nice.
if they sound really nice in the car, if you're not able to still be able to flow through those, be able to run on the streets, that'll be insane.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be, with that big block barking down those pipes, it's gonna be pretty loud, that's for sure.
With our, what, a 720 lift or so?
Yeah.
That being said, taken into account, do you have a CFM recommendation for us?
I would want to see at least a 1050 or bigger, probably. Maybe even
That's what I was thinking.
like a 1200, maybe.
Especially go to full on nitrous too, because add more fuel, add more nitrous, you need more air now.
Correct. Yeah, if you're gonna be spraying it as well, you're gonna need the air volume moving through there.
As we discussed some carburetors today,
Either.
we both looked at 850, 85 quick fuels, and also looked at the Dominator line.
Yeah.
If we go with a 4150, 850, it's about 980.
Okay.
And for the Dominator, it's another 500, so it's about $1,500 to invest in a carburetor for this.
Yeah, 1400 or so.
Yeah,
Now-
you know, a good place to call, because I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that I know everything about a carburetor, because I don't, but a
Fair
place
enough.
that's local, Pro Systems carburetors, I don't know if you're familiar with them or not.
Hmm.
They're right out of Muskegon, about 45 minutes north of here. They build some awesome carburetors for a lot of drag race people in the area and around the country. They would be a really good phone call to make, talk to them, tell them what you're building.
It's possible I may have heard him when I read him in conversation on forums.
Yep,
When those guys start talking carbs, they seem to point their finger at somebody.
yep, Pro Systems.
So
carburetors.
it's possible that's what I've read, but I'm not going to stand.
If you're gonna be
Right now.
doing E85 though, there's a really good guy local too. I think his company name is Carburetor, or maybe it's Horsepower Innovations, I think it is. he does a lot of E85 carb builds, and we've actually done a lot of dyno testing with him here with different carburetors and setups.
Yeah, we have to, build an entire fuel system for this truck, so.
Yeah, he might be another good phone call. I'm pretty sure it's Horsepower Innovations is his business name, and he does like specifically E85 carburetors. So.
What are your thoughts on after the fact and the same gets done, we dyno it, Streetability?
I've heard that a Dominator flange on the street is pretty tough, just because it's designed to be on a racetrack. That much plenum volume, that much fuel going in there, going stop sign to stop sign is not.
That's what we had some concerns about.
I'm sure people are doing it, but they might be doing it more on an EFI type setup.
Sure, they help us have a lot higher stall converter to rubber long ways anyway.
Yeah.
To where the carburetor starts picking up. This starts going. They're trying to stall it at the stop sign. Try to get the move.
Right. Because we're still a little ways off from running a gear vendors. Unless you're listing gear vendors, we could use one of those units in the future.
Better than our little 3-speed we got.
I'm sure that, like I said, I'm sure there's people using the Dominator flange, Dominator carburetor.
It helps us affect the single plane too, doesn't really help much either.
Yeah, the single plane is a little more difficult on the street just because it's designed to be wide open. It's either on or off. That's kind of what they're made for.
Yeah.
Max effort type scenario. Where the dual plane 4150 is OE style stuff, that's meant to be driven on the street type of thing. So, like I said, this will probably be doable, but it might not be very fun.
Very friendly.
You're gonna be 2 foot and that kind of thing. If it's an automatic, you're gonna be 1
Well,
foot.
here's another question. I'm just throwing it out there. What about those inserts? The
Like
spider,
restrictors?
yeah, that go in. I've seen those. I don't know much about them. They call them spiders. Maybe Wilson offers it.
Yeah,
Wilson others.
Manifold makes some pretty awesome stuff like that.
Restricted plates.
Yeah, they make. Well, we're pretty familiar with that on the circle track side of things. They call them the governor.
Okay.
It's a plate that goes on there that you can put different little choker tubes
Or like a
in.
restrictor plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that's going to really affect drivability. To be honest, that just affects like your peak.
Because I know we're asking the world here, but we want to be able to go fast, but we also want to be able to drive it on the street
Sure.
and have fun on the street without it being such an animal that's just so irritable
Yep.
and ornery that it became, a truck we can't enjoy.
Yeah.
We don't want this truck to be a one-trick pony, such as the engine that came out of that mud race truck. It's a one-trick pony. It's all it does.
The whole idea, we should be able to drive to the track and go have some fun at the track. Drive home.
Yes.
So all at once, on the building.
Where I think
And you got to take some liberty somewhere, I guess.
an EFI setup would definitely would lend itself to having multiple options there. You could put a street tune in it.
I've looked into a few, and they seem to be pretty close on par with what we're talking about, a $1,500 carburetor.
As far as price,
I think we can probably get into a Holly EFI maybe,
like a Terminator.
a Terminator kit that can handle, up to 750 horse, 780, something like that I read. Don't quote me on that, but
Yeah, I think they're capable of that for sure.
or support up to 1,000.
Yep, there's a lot of options there.
Yeah, we're at this point where you might as well go that extra step.
I mean, I think
Fuel injection
the
going.
drivability aspect of any engine is kind of fuel control related. To electronically do that it's a lot easier. I mean, the carburetor is nice if you're familiar with the carburetor, but if somebody's not familiar with it, then it's really foreign. A bunch of screws and knobs that you can turn and mess things up in a hurry,
Yeah.
Where on a screen you can at least kind of see some live feed data and
Yeah.
tweak things and
Plug
see
in
what it
laptops
does.
and see what it is.
For our intended purpose, we'd like to be low maintenance and have that reliability there,
Sure,
but with that power on tap,
yeah,
you know.
definitely. That might, I mean, getting a hold of somebody at Holly might be a little difficult, but if you're going to like PRI soon, you could talk to somebody at the PRI show, definitely about that. As far as what might be the best fitment for the application, I don't know enough about them yet to say like, this is the one you need, but definitely willing to try and get that figured out. If we
I know I haven't dug into it deep enough, but going back to a spread blower, I was surprised not to see anything larger than an 850 at this point. I thought there'd be like a 9 1/4 out there.
For carburetor?
Yeah.
For the typical Holly style.
Not unless you modify what we buy, then you're right back up to $1,500 in a hurry.
I mean, the problem is you're limited by just how big the actual physical carburetor is. You're stuck at only a certain CFM you can go.
Yeah.
Once you jump up to that dominator size, you got a ton bigger. And I don't know if we've ever done a comparison between the little dominator that we have versus a Holly. I mean, the two between each other, there's no comparison. The dominator is a monster compared to your Holly. Just how huge it is.
I think we're on the ragged edge of streetability here.
Yeah, the 4150 will help with that a little bit, like I said, just because it's not trying to dump so much fuel in there, but I feel like I've seen a 950, 4150 flange carburetor, but I can't remember who made it.
I know, I'm with you on that subject of trying to remember things, but
I just see so much of it every day.
I'd have to dig in a little bit deeper, I guess.
And we got some time, and obviously we're
You know, maybe something from FST or Quick Fuel.
But fuel makes a decent carburetor. That's all Holly based, but they got their own metering blocks and all that kind of stuff. But we've had really good luck with Quick Fuel stuff too. So they make a specific E85 carburetor too, right out of the box. Quick Fuel does.
That's where all the dominators come from. They're all quick fuel. All the ones we've seen. Quick fuel technology build.
For sure. I think we got a pretty solid, trajectory that we're going on. It's just we gotta pick the right parts along the way.
So now we're really starting to get a really solid direction where we're going now.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the hard parts are here, and get some of the stuff bolted up.
Yeah, we figured you would be selecting all the gaskets for this build.
Yep. We keep a lot of. Our favorite is Velcro. They make a lot of nice performance gaskets. We use MLS style head gaskets, the multi-layer steel. So,
Along with the fasteners for the oil pan. If you're using ARP or whatever you're going to use, that's fine.
Yeah, we.
When you pull that pan out, we inspected it before we took it. There appears to be some up dimples along the rail that you probably have to take a look at, make sure it's true and straight.
Okay.
So we don't have any leaks, obviously. Once we get this thing all buttoned up, we can't have any leaks at all. Otherwise, we won't be able to run. So.
And that's one nice thing about the dyno test also is you can check for leaks while it's on there.
Right.
So if there's any kind of leak, which hopefully there's not, that's every engine builder's goal to not have one leak. So
Absolutely.
we'll
let alone have it stay together. So.
right. Well, we are beating the snot out of it on the dyno there. That'll be a true test of what if it's going to leak or anything like that. So.
Yeah.
We also do a test before we go to the dyno. We have a little, what's called a smoke machine. So we'll put like 3 psi of pressure into the engine with some smoke, and it will go into the entire engine. If there's anywhere that it was trying to leak oil, that smoke will come out, and we'll be able to see where a potential leak could be.
Right.
So.
Seems simple enough and effective for the result.
Yep. It's not really a money maker type machine, but it's a money saver. It saves a comeback and that kind of thing. So it prevents a comeback. Yeah, this is a pretty good intake. I think that'll be probably a little bit nicer than the one I had here, so, with the port work and everything, so. And it's matched right up to those heads that we had, so that'll be beneficial.
Because yeah, we discovered that the crank that's currently in it is a shorter throw than
Then a 454.
what we thought it was.
Correct. It was, the crank that's actually in there is a 427 crank.
Yeah, so make sure the pistons were followed to actually meet that, right?
Correct.
Am I spotting a dark little M on the bench?
What's that?
Am I spotting a dark little M on the bench?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Nice little circle burner there.
Yeah. Like these there.
Splayed caps.
A lot of rigidity there. I thought that's what we do roughly. How much rigidity is this? It can't be much.
Well, this short block belongs to Woodchuck's Garage for Project C10. We're doing a lot of work on it.
Including that new cannon there, right?
That is a new camshaft. Yes, sir.
And what was the story on that again?
The one that was, I'm trying to think now.
Because the other one wasn't right.
Yeah.
I was here to come over here somewhere.
Yeah, he probably put it on the shelf there. The ramps are so aggressive on some of these profiles that when the lifter is going up the ramp, it kind of digs into the ramp and it actually creates like a divot in there.
Because it's a sharp increase.
Correct. It's changing direction so fast that it's just kind of a normal wear pattern on the cam that's been in an engine for a long time. Especially on a solid roller that has high spring pressure. The cam takes a blunt of that impact.
So is there anything you can do to keep her away from the
Not really. I'm sure they make different. You could probably have a custom grind made to do that. But,
have a more friendly?
yeah,
one of those things where it comes with the territory and it's like,
kind of comes with the territory. I mean, this can should last several years without having to do anything to it. I'm sure that one that came out of here was,
lasting a long time.
yeah, it was in here for a long time.
This is one we run like that. It's the nice highs and
Yeah, they
keep
do
all the metal together.
good oil, as long as they're not floating valves, you know, they got the right spring pressures and all that kind of stuff. It's gonna extend the longevity of the can for sure.
Yeah, we'll find out if it does that.
Right? Yeah, so you see all those pistons down in the hole, about 100 thousandths. This is where we ran into the issue with, you guys were kind of suspect of it being a 427 when you brought it here, right?
That's what I was kind of listening to because I noticed that was a lot shorter stroke than what 454 was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of surprised me when I heard it was a 454.
Yeah. Yeah, now we're gonna be 460. Oh no, it's gonna be 472. That's not a popular combination, so it's not really. It's easier to get a crank than it would be to get a set of custom pistons made or something along those lines.
Easier to have a crank sitting right there instead of having all the new pistons made.
Yep. Yeah, because currently JD is about 8 weeks on a set of customs. 8 weeks is a long time.
If you break a piston, you will find out.
Yes.
If you wait 8 weeks for the wrong piston, you start.
Yep.
Or you know, it's pretty standard. More or less.
Yep. So that's a pretty healthy dome. That's going to put, I think our static compression here is going to be like 12.7, 12.5 or 1. Static.
This is cool. You watch it, something like that one time. So they're playing around with static compression versus the actual compression rates.
Yeah, the dynamic
Where
compression.
they brought the static compression up to like 16 or 15 or so.
Yep.
For the actual compression rate when they have dynamic.
Yep.
Brought down to like 10.
Yeah, by the.
Greater run race gas units, but it's still handled as like it's a monster race gas.
Yeah, so it's all the sequence of events with the timing, you know, the valve opening, closing, the piston going up and down. You actually lose that static compression as everything's going through the motion because it's just leaking this off or pushing that out. It's pretty crazy what's going on inside this cylinder, what's going on inside of that thing in the blink of an eye. To me, it's remarkable how it even happens. How they stay together, people beat the lips off them.
Yeah, it's sure you know safely, if this thing's moving down, up down the hole 6,000 times a minute, really pretty power. Like 10 times per second. That's what we've done there.
Even just idling, they're going up and down so fast, it looks like they're at the top all the time.